I'm pleased to present to you this time-honored treasure of how to make a yo-yo doll, a snowman yo-yo doll to be specific. My grandmother used to make these, and they are beautiful. You may wish to make one too. Follow me with this step-by-step tutorial on how to make a snowman yo-yo doll. You'll need a doll pin and some thick cord or thread, cotton or nylon. We will need 66 yo-yos and 3 buttons. So this is how you can do it. Use a mason jar lid. You may have a yo-yo maker. These work just fine. Definitely some strong cotton thread and a needle. The doll needle is very helpful in assembling the doll. So in the time being, you can use a regular straight pin with cotton thread and cut out your circles to a 3.5 inch size or larger, whichever you like. This is a standard size mason jar lid that I am using. To make this yo-yo, pick up your fabric on the top. And when you do that, you're going to go through the fabric as I am showing here. The reason why is we want the raw edge to flip under as we form this yo-yo. So you're just using a basting stitch, but you're picking up fabric and going out of it, staying on the top, so that little edge will fold under. As I said, if you have a yo-yo maker, that's fine. You could use that. I just wanted to show you the old-fashioned way and how you can do it really quick. You have to make 66 of these to create your yo-yo doll. So when you get around to where you begun, you're going to pull the thread that has the knot in it, and we want to pull this together so that it all gathers up, and we're going to tie it into a knot. So that is why if you put a knot on the beginning, you can pull that out a little bit and use it to tie to your thread and create a knot there. That will secure your yo-yo and keep it formed and together. We don't want them to get lazy or fall apart. And then just kind of push it out with your fingers, and voila, we have our yo-yo. It may have a little hole in the center, that's fine, or you can make it larger and put polyfill. Clip off the thread, and you are ready to begin making another yo-yo. These are about a 50-cent piece size, so if you want your yo-yo for your yo-yo doll to be larger, you can do that. And you can add polyfill in the center. Make sure you select more than one color. Whatever color you're going with, you want some contrasting colors. That gives it more character and adds texture and detail to your yo-yo doll. Once you see how this is assembled, you'll understand, and then you can do them appropriately. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to take our heavy-duty cotton thread, twine as I call it. We're going to put a knot in it, and because the eye on the doll needle allows us, we can get our cord through the eye of that needle. Now when you run it through the yo-yos, I don't want you to think about the center as much as I want you to think about trying to get it close to the center, and you'll understand why as we move along. Now once you have your 15 strung together, 2 different sets, a total of 30, 15 on the left, 15 on the right, you're going to run those cords up through the eyes of the button. So you need a button that has 2 eyes on it. It can be a small button like this one, or it can be a large one. It is strictly up to you. As you see this assembled, you'll be able to decide. Now we're going to tie that into a knot. You can use this in a method of tying it loosely so that the yo-yos are shifting and moving more, or you can snug it up like I have here. And just make your adjustments with your hand. Leave the tails on your cord. We're going to need them. So we have our legs assembled. Now we have our arms assembled the very same way. And once again, I've run the cords up through the eyes of the button, and I'm tying it in a knot on top of that button. The buttons give your yo-yo doll movement. So this do-it-yourself yo-yo doll is going to be like a puppet. And that's why we need these cords. So let me show you. Basically, you're going to put a knot in your cord and start stringing your yo-yos onto your cord. This is for the body. So I know that I need 13 yo-yos to assemble the body. Now I've run it through one time. Now I'm going to run the cord right back down through the center of all 13 of these yo-yos for the body. That's why I said whenever you go to put the legs and arms together, you don't have to hit it straight in the middle. You can basically go to the left, and then when you go back through it, go down through the right. Just make sure you double run that cord once, string them all together, and then back down to the bottom. It will give it more durability, flexibility, and less probability of any of your yo-yos coming loose or coming off, especially if you were making this for a child. We don't want the parts to come off, and we want to ensure that the yo-yo will last for years. Plus, it will be washable. Now, I've run that cord back up through the center. I know that sounds like repetition, but it does give it insurance. And when I run it back up to the top, I'm going to tie it in a knot. When I came through with the original knot, I went back down and did not tie it. Now I'm going back up to the top because we need to tie the body into the arms and legs. So if you originally strung your yo-yos through the center at the gathering, you won't have to do what I'm having to do here. You will only go down and back up. But since I started backwards, I've now got to get my cord back to the top. So I ended up running that cord through the body 3 times just because I wasn't paying attention when I went to string it together. Nonetheless, 2 to 3 times through there is fine. Still gives the yo-yo doll mobility. Now, once you get it back to the top, I want you to tie a knot. Do not cut off the cord. We're going to need it. Once again, the yo-yo doll is more like a puppet doll. So I've stretched it out, got it relaxed a little bit. They're all formed together. I've got my knots. I've got my cord running. Let's tie the legs on. Let's assemble our yo-yo doll. We have our 2 cords coming out of the top above the button. Now the button works like a joint for your yo-yo doll. When you do this, you've already got a cord running out the top of the body. Leave it there. The 2 for the legs, we're going to run right back through the yo-yos. And that's going to tie our body on to our doll. And that's why the long doll needle is going to be your best friend in assembling your yo-yo doll. So I've got that pulled back through. Now I need to restring my needle, the cords that are coming out of the left and the right leg. And once I do that, I'm going to also run it through the center of the body. So in the time being, I've got my cord at the top now, tying on these legs left and right. Now I'm going to do the right leg. And once I get threaded through the eye of the needle, it'll make it easy for me to just slip that cord right up through the center of that body. And yes, you're going to have a little bit of play, but once you get it to the top, you'll be able to pull and push the yo-yos back down next to the legs. You can do these yo-yo dolls loosely or tightly. These were my first ones, so they were all a little more snug, but it still had a great deal of mobility, as you'll see in the finished product. Okay, so now we have all our cords coming out of the body. We have 3 cords coming out now. We need to get our knot tied off. Do not cut them, just tie a knot. And once you tie that knot, that's going to secure the body to those legs. Still has great mobility, but we got to secure it. And once we get these tied, since we already have a button in the joint area of the arms, we won't have to add one at this point. Okay, so we got all 3 coming out now. Let's tie on the arms. So watch carefully, because we've got 2 cords coming out as well. Don't get confused. It's already tied in a knot. And these are his little arms. Now, we have 15 on the left, 15 on the right, forming the legs. On the arms, we have 11. 11 on the left and 11 on the right. And then the body, we had 13. As I said, you may select to cut your yo-yos and make them larger for the center of his body. to make those 13 for the body to be broader is strictly up to you. It's a personal choice. So as you can see, to tie on the arms, I'm basically going back down through the center of the 13 yo-yos that formed his body. And once I get both those cords ran down through his body, I can tie them off into a knot. This is taking a moment. Be patient with yourself because you got to get it through all those yo-yos. And with it being a cord and a long needle, it's kind of tight and snug, but it will go through there with no problem. And I elected to use cotton fabrics. I recommend that you use cotton fabrics. These are timeless treasure heirlooms because as they grow in age, they are going to be beloved by everyone. And even the person you made it for is going to treasure it. And these can be passed down through family members, or they can just be a comforting gift to someone you really care about. It's a lot of time invested in making your yo-yos because you can sit and do those in front of the television and just do it in a comfortable state. It's very, very distressing and eases your stress. Now I've got those cords going and I can cut them. Now I still need to thread those cords where I ran them back up through the body to put the button on. And that is at the top of the body because that is where his neck is per se going to be to tie on his head. So as you can see, once I got those cords back to the top with his legs tied onto them, I added the button, threaded it, needle, and now I'm going to run it back through the body. Get that all situated. We will have a third button. The third button, we will be connecting it after we put a collar on. So that's where the 66th yo-yo comes into place. We've got this long cord up through the body that came from the legs, and so we have 3 cords, and now we're putting on a collar. I wanted to make his hat, so I cut a piece of fabric, the roundness, and I created a pom-pom to make his head. And when I created this little toboggan out of the fabric, I clipped it and frayed it, and then I got me some pom-poms from Dollar Tree that I'm going to add on. And I decided to crochet him a scarf with some buttons on it to truly make him very primitive style, and he will hold up and stand the test of time. And once you do that, you can add bells to each pom-pom on each arm and each leg. So you'll need 5 pom-poms. And I made the head much bigger, added his nose, small black pom-poms for the smile in his eyes, added a button for his scarf, and voila, we have our yo-yo snowman. Thank you so much for watching. This is Elizabeth. This do-it-yourself thrifted Chenille bedspread was doomed. It had rust all over it, and there were certain areas that had already worn through. We're going to thrift this Chenille bedspread into this beautiful handmade tall snowman. We are going to cut our measurements just right, and we are going to repurpose different pieces. So stay tuned because you're going to enjoy it. The first thing we need to do, of course, is evaluate and create our circles. So I'm going to show you, create you a loop slide knot onto some twine and get you a pencil. This way you can do your half circles and convert them into full circles. So the best way to do this is on your slip knot, bring your string up to the measurement of the distance or circle that you're wanting to make. For example, I have created 3 circles. So for you to duplicate this Chenille snowman, you will make one that is 11 inches, 13 inches, and 15 inches circles. So the 15 inch, of course, you want your string to be 7.5 inches. Fold your paper in half and do your half circle. For your 11, you would, of course, do 5.5. That will create your 11-inch circle. And then, of course, for your 13, you would do the same division, 6.5, and get your 13-inch circle. So 11-inch, 13-inch, and a 15-inch circle is the size of this snowman to create that height and that length. Additionally, you'll take your Chenille fabric or Chenille bedspread, or maybe you're using muslin fabric. Works just fine. You'll fold it in half, place your template on there, cut it, and voila, you will have all 3 of your circles cut out. Polyfill it, and you're ready to begin. So now I have filled my circles in with the polyfill, the chenille that's been cut, and I'm ready to start assembling. And then I'm going to turn that one like that, and then just put the head on. I am going to sew mine down. You can glue this if you want to, but I really think that I'm going to sew it. I have my doll pin with my cotton twine. You can get these at Hobby Lobby, or you can get a set at Walmart called the doll pin. And I've picked out a wooden dowel for just to kind of hold it, because I'm going to have it down, have this one, I'll punch a hole through here, and then I'll have the head. And then for the hat, I'm going to use the 2.5-inch ribbon spool. I found a wine cork. Now you can make the nose out of fabric if you want to, but I'm actually going to cut this and trim it into a point like a carrot and paint it orange for the nose. And then of course black felt for his eyes and smile. Now I am doing a top hat, and I just wanted to let you know that this round is 4 inches. That's the size of this tent. I used it as my guide to make a 4-inch because I need the top hat brim to come out further for this particular pattern. You do this particular one, and if you do it out of chenille, you're going to need a 4-inch round for the bottom of the top hat, unless you do a toboggan for his hat. And then I was telling you about the wine cork. I'm basically probably going to just use my razor knife and see how that goes. Now, one thing that I am really loving is, because I am using this cork, the actual cork versus, and the plastic ones will do just as well as the wine corks, but look at the naturalness. It's going to look so much like a carrot when it's painted. And I've just been whittling away at it little by little with my razor knife. Use caution and take care if you decide to take on doing it with a razor. Alright, so I haven't sewn this yet, but I did go ahead and pierce a hole. And that dowel is just sitting in the bottom of this. And I made sure that the polyfill is out of the way. And it's centered there. I let this one come down, and it sits real good in the gathered area. And I could glue that versus sewing it now that I've got it like this. And I just feel like it would be better if I did put some stitches in there and sewn it just a little bit to attach it to this one. And then of course this one is going to be on the top, and then the hat will be atop of that. I basically am using a dowel from a Dollar General pack. They have them at Dollar Tree. I have those as well, but I had grabbed that from out of my caddy. And that happens really fast, you know, just cutting it, and then it'll just give way. So now there's the snowman stacked, and it's not even sewn together, and it's looking fantastic. But you see that the wooden dowel will give it more stability per se, and even, you know, if it wobbles or whatever, you could put it on a platform if you wanted to, but the dowel just gives it a little more stability and strength and keeps it lined up for you. When the hat gets upon there, see, that's going to cover up the dowel, which I'll make a hole in that whenever I do the bottom, and that makes you assemble real fast for you. Now I've got his eyes and his smile cut out and felt. I've cut me an extra round of cardboard for the top of the hat. I'm going to use the spool ribbon. I've removed both sides, and then the larger piece that's going to go on the bottom. Quickest top hat in the West is go just beyond the width here. I've got about, I don't know, around 1/2 inch. And same here on this side. And then the rounds, I want to go just beyond the round. That's the top, because once I glue that, I want to go wider than the actual piece, so I don't have to worry about it. I can glue it straight to it. And then the same here with this round one. It should be enough to overlap it. Yep, just perfect. So one felt square is going to be sufficient for making the top hat. And basically, I will take and glue this strip onto my spool, and I always flatten that glue out. And then I want to overlap this. I want this to overlap on both sides all the way around. I'll make covering that really quick. So make sure that you lay your glue down. Don't let it be in a pile, so that your felt will cling and go all the way around your spool. And it can overlap in the back. Mine did, no problem. Remember, we are using a single 8x12 felt sheet. This is actually a deep navy blue felt sheet. Now you're going to clip it all the way around about every 1/2 inch or so on both sides, because we overlapped it 1/2 inch over the edge of that spool. Glue it on the inside and fold those flaps down. This will give you a customized professional felt hat. Now, we've got that nice and covered inside and out. Then this part, of course, we want to glue the board down. Make sure you come in and get it away from that edge. Make sure you got edge exposed all the way around. Then you want to put your glue on the outside and trace out your circle. And for that is when you fold this over, you will have no side showing whatsoever. Mash it down. Just make trimming it out a breeze, and it'll be completely enclosed with nothing showing. Do the same thing on this one. That to move, making sure I have it memorized where I have that placed. Stay away from my opening, because that's where I'm going to be sliding it over top. I have that memorized where that's going to sit on that felt. Now, once again, go around the outside edge. I want to bring this completely folded over. Alright, then take your scissors and just, you can see the indentation, you can go around it. You can get a little more specific after you get it trimmed away. Just trimming away the excess felt. And if you see any gaps, you can glue them. Then for the top, just cut off your extra. You can see it really good. You can lay it right atop and trim it before you glue it down. See, got just a little bit of peek through going there. And that is easily fixed. Lay a little glue on that edge. Now I can glue my top onto my hat. And should you have some peeking through, if you trim it real close like I did, you know the trick I've shown you before. Use your black Sharpie, hit those pieces. Takes like 2 seconds. And what's really cool about that is it makes it look a little more worn and primitive, which I love. And that's showing cardboard, so I'll fix that. We've got all that. I went ahead and cut my hole there and fitted it for my snowman. So now we can just glue our hat together and make it look like a professional felt hat. Ta-da! Isn't that a beauty? I know it's taller than I want, but it is wonderfully made. So a lot of times for me, I always try on the hat before I put their face on, because to me, the personality, you can really tell where everything needs to sit. And so I will be able to square up his eyes and so forth based on where his hat's going. So that is what we've got thus far. Right now I am staging. I love to work with felt because you can really truly figure out where everything will go before you buckle it down. A lot less boo-boos. As you can see, my little felt dots are not perfectly round, but I am able to tell where they are going to hit. And as I said before, it really depicts the personality to me. And now I can go, okay, his eyes maybe need to set further out. Spread that out real good. Don't want that glue piling. It will make a big difference. That way I've got a moment to hold his nose. Now thus far I've only put 3. I'm going to put one up here because I'm going to do a pipe. I've not ever done a pipe on any of my snowman, and I have been wanting to, so I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to put this one up here, whereabouts his eye would be, and then I'm going to put a pipe there, so I can go ahead and put his eyes on. And whenever you're trimming up felt, in case you don't know, let me give you a tip. Lay your scissors sideways and trim it like that, like lay it down, because if you try to cut it, you're going to take more than you've wanted. So to get little corners off, you're kind of shaving at that felt. You're just catching the edge, and then that way you can note whether or not you're cutting too much, and then you'll get a more round shape and you can get your corners off. Okay, the birch logs that we get at Dollar Tree, the wood stems they call them, I found me one that I think will be okay. It's not too intensely big, and of course a wooden dowel or one of your Chinese chopsticks. I'm going to drill a hole in there. It looks so perfect. Look at the color and the knobbiness of it with that knob there. Now, drill me a little bit out there, but it's so petrified it's hard to. So I did get a hole managed there. Glue my dowel in, and then I'll be able to determine how much I need to cut off. Okay, I found that the best way is to put a small little slit. I mean the tiniest amount. And then that's about 3 inches long. And place that in there. And then it will just stay unless you just want to glue it for security, which is not a bad idea. Another thing is I added some glue onto the dowel. I pushed up my snowman, and I pushed him down, put the glue on the dowel, and then of course made sure that I pushed the stick back down, so that way he stays right there. That stick's not going to slide up and down any longer, and if it does, it's because the glue let go. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the dowel itself and just kind of let it run down, and go ahead and get his hat situated there. So I don't really want to glue the hat to the top of his head just yet. I'm not ready for that part just yet. I want to make sure everything is where I desire it to be. That way the hat's not dancing all over the place. Now we need to finish up his hat, so I'm going to fabricate it. I have this burlap ribbon, and I have this ribbon that is fabric that looks like burlap. So I'm going to actually take that red, and I'm going to cut this down and make his hat band. So basically I took my piece, I cut it the length, and I cut out 2 of the red, and I left a little bit of the burlap because I think that'll help it blend in even better. And I'm basically just going to use my glue gun, and I'm going to glue that little red strip right down on that burlap as though it were made that way already. And I'm going to do the same to the lower part. And this will trim out the top and the bottom of that burlap. I got my band made. Now I'm just attaching it to the hat. Doesn't need a lot to get it to stay, because I cut it with a little small miracle. It was literally perfect. I pulled it off the roll and cut it without taking the roll off of the rod, and it was like, oh my gosh, that was perfect. I mean, perfect. That was just a good Lord looking after me. I did. Alright, got me some greenery here. Working on that hat. Getting everything situated like this. Let's see if that's too much. I bought these pine cones way back with these berries on it. And I'm going to steal some of these pine cones. I got some others, but these were handy. So I'm taking the shortcut because I don't know how many I will need. And I have this little poinsettia. I'm going to put it in there amongst it all. So I think that's what I will do. I'll put the poinsettia on there first. See how that looks. Where I place it, stay about there. And then the pine cones, I think, will be well suited right where I laid them at, just for posing. Kind of gets tedious when you got your hat still wobbly. As I said before, I haven't pinned it down all the way because I'm not certain as to whether I'm going to make him have a crooked hat or straight. Alright, now I'm going to put him on a scarf, and I'm going to cut this. This one has wire in it, which is fine. So I might just do it like this. And of course it looks like it's going to naturally go over here. And let me see, I will bring this over this one. Tie your ribbon into a knot, and you do not have to use ribbon, you can use fabric. In the bottom of your screen, hit the plus sign and add this to your playlist, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thumbs up are greatly appreciated, so show me lots of love by hitting the thumbs up. Lets me and YouTube know you enjoyed it. Now there's more to come. We are doing more decorating with his scarf. I'll show you a little trick, but leave the tails really long. I think you'll enjoy this part of the video very much. So what I'm doing here is I'm leaving the wire in the section that's around his neck. And I'm going to take off as much of this wire as I can. It's in this area around front. I'm leaving it tied, but I'm pulling that out as much as I can without taking it loose, and just cutting that wire. The rest of it can keep the wire. It's okay. And then that way this hangs a little bit looser and more natural. And I'll do the same on this one. I'm cutting the scarf at an angle so it's not so straight. And I did ravel that side out, so maybe I can cut these sprays up just a little bit further. So do make a fuss over the scarf and work with it. Cut up the strips and tatter it by roughing it up, and trimming it just to get it that right size. It pays off in the finished product. Presentation is everything. Enjoy the process, as one of my viewers said. And every handmade item, it shows up in the details for years and years to come. It will always capture your eye, please, and give you delight to your heart. So stay tuned. There's more to come with training this scarf and getting it just right. Okay, remember to train your burlap, which this is kind of like burlap. Just a little mist water is all you need. You can get it to style a little bit better. Flow in there. Just so stiff, really stiff. Might need to mist it a little more. Our thrifted Chenille Snowman, just from thrifted items. The hat is recycled and repurposed from a ribbon spool. We have a wine cork for the nose, and we are using a wood stem for the pipe. And here we are with this beautiful chenille spread that was rusted and rust all over it, being repurposed to a beautiful snowman. Clip those until they dry. Okay, so I took the clip out of his scarf, and I found this little poinsettia. It was on bells from Dollar Tree, and I took it off. I'm going to place it on his scarf like a brooch. It's got two little tiny wires holding a bead in the center of it. So I think I can successfully run that under his scarf. Now, I am going to cockeye his hat, but the one thing that I wanted to do is I want to make his eyes smile at me. They just look so black. So I'm going to take my white paint marker. I think there's enough in there to do what it is I'm trying to do. And I just want to put a little bit of white in there. Just a little. See, now it makes him look like his eyes are smiling. Alright, and further thought, I am not going to tie a tag or anything on him. I am going to give him a crooked hat, per se. And I want to be very, very strategic in how I place that glue in order to ensure that I give him a crooked hat and I'm not overdoing it with the crook. I just want it to crook over just a bit. And so you'll have to look at your snowman and really judge by that and make sure, it's not standing up too much on the other side in order to give him his crooked hat. So here we are. We've gotten our snowman done. He looks absolutely stunningly handsome. He has a smile in his eyes now. And we have his crooked hat glued down strategically so that it looks like it should. And he is just looking great. So you can make your own and customize it any way you like and use the shortcut for making the top hat. Add him a birch wood slice pipe versus a corncob pipe, unless you happen to have corncob that you could use. And he looks great. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Any links that have been shared will be in the description box down below, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy DIYs. Share this with someone who truly likes doing it themselves, or who would enjoy watching things go from start to finish and watching someone else create something. And leave any comments down below. This is Elizabeth. Until the next DIY, I'll be crafting, y'all. Merry Christmas. Let's take a moment for reflection. And from Dandy Soap DIY, Elizabeth here, I thank you all so much for watching my channel. This Chenille bedspread was doomed to be thrown away. It had rust all over it, and we recycled it into a beautiful snowman. We converted a wine cork into his nose. We've used a leftover wood stem and leftover wood dowel to make his pipe. And we've also repurposed a ribbon spool into this beautiful felt top hat. My best friend sent me this wall quilt she handmade as my Christmas gift. I love her dearly, and it matches the Chenille Snowman to a T. Thank you so much for subscribing to Dandy Soap DIY, watching my channel, and keeping me inspired and busy. Do come back and visit, and have a very Merry Christmas.